Hi, my name is Carol Baskin, the founder and CEO of Big Cat Rescue. I'm going to talk to you about your personal safety, your money, your credit, your health, and who's trying to steal them and what you can do about it. I'd like to start with an attack that involves Big Cat Rescue. It starts with a virus called KubeFace. It tricks Facebook users to click on a link that says something like, "OMG, I just saw a naked video of you." Clicking on the link infects your phone or computer with a virus that seeks out your login credentials for all of your accounts. It also turns your computer into a zombie. Whenever you hear your computer running like crazy, but you aren't running any big programs, it could be that your computer is being used by hackers to sustain denial of service attacks. A denial of service attack is when a website is targeted by 1,000,000 infected zombie computers who keep hitting the site. It's like 1,000,000 people calling, hanging up, and calling back a second later. No one else can get through. That's what happened to BigCatRescue.org 3 times. In March of 2010, Big Cat Rescue sponsored the International Tiger Coalition to be able to attend the CITES conference in Doha, Qatar. 5 months later, we were hit with a denial of service attack that crashed our site for weeks. In November of that same year, we sponsored the International Tiger Coalition's presence at the Tiger Summit in St. Petersburg, Russia. 3 months later, we were hit with a denial of service attack that crashed our site for weeks again. This same year, the Chinese were caught doing the same thing to Google. They kept getting better at it, and in July of 2011, when we built the Big Cat Coalition from the ashes of the International Tiger Coalition, we were immediately hit with a denial of service attack that crashed our site for 8 months straight. So you might be thinking, that doesn't apply to you because you don't have a website. I'd like to tell you Matt's story. Matt Honan was a reporter for Wired magazine, and one day his phone acted like it had been erased. He wasn't too worried because he had it backed up, so he logged into iCloud to restore his data. He got a message saying his password was wrong, even though he knew it was right. He decided to restore the phone from his computer. What happened next was the end of every photo, every digital memory, every email, every password, every document, every social account, every virtual element of Matt's life. A teenage hacker only needed Matt's billing address and the last 4 digits of his credit card to change his Apple password. The last 4 digits of the credit card was obtained by calling Amazon.com, where most people have an account, using Matt's name, address, and email address, which were all found on Facebook, and conning a service rep to just verify the last 4 of his credit card on file. With that info, the teenager was able to nuke every device and every account owned by Matt Honan. In the end, the kid said he had no hard feelings toward Matt. He just wanted the Twitter handle @Matt for his own. Matt had 3,000 followers that the kid could now spam. Big Cat Rescue has more than 19,000 Twitter followers, which makes us an even bigger target for hackers. Imagine someone destroying every photo, every video, every bit of your online life just because they thought you had a cool name. That's what we are all up against in a world where those who know how to code rule the internet. Andre Sepulveda says he spent 8 years working for Juan Rendon to rig elections across Latin America. Colombian media reported that Rendon works on the Trump campaign, but everyone involved is denying it. What Sepulveda would do is to hack into opponents' computers to steal their donor lists and campaign strategies. Then he would automate more than 30,000 fake Twitter accounts to change the conversation, because he discovered that people believe what other people say more than they believe the press. How many of your friends are really just bots who were designed to influence how you think? There are more than 200,000 new forms of malware released into the wild every day. Only 5% of it is detected by antivirus programs. 92% of the time, malware is discovered by an angry customer or law enforcement, but not the antivirus software. Criminals know that. A Verizon study showed that 75% of the time, your defenses can be penetrated in just minutes. When we were installing cameras out here at the sanctuary, I learned that Verizon sets everyone's router credentials to admin as the username and password for the password. $94 billion a year will be spent on cybersecurity by 2017, and criminals want part of that pie too. System Defender promoted itself as a free antivirus program. Their fake antivirus would pop up a warning that you were facing a threat that was beyond your free program's capacity, but for $49, the threat could be eradicated. It generated $500 million in income over a 3-year period by offering a free antivirus that really was a virus. The perpetrator was a 17-year-old kid in Russia. He managed to rob nearly 1/3 of all Americans while sitting on his couch. If you ever bought anything at Target prior to 2013, he's got your credit card number. The way he breached Target's database was by going after the weakest link in their system. Their air conditioners had electronic components that were networked along with the point-of-sale system. Whether devices or people, the criminals only have to break the weakest link. Don't be that guy. Anyone ever shop here? Hackers stole 45 million credit cards in 2007. It cost the company close to $1 billion. Did TJ Maxx or Marshalls or Target ever call you and say, "Hey, you might want to cancel that credit card of yours"? Shadow Crew was an online haven for carders, people who deal in stolen credit cards. Albert Gonzalez flagrantly ran this online portal complete with tutorials on how to steal and resell credit cards and ATM cards. He stole and sold more than 180 million credit cards and ATM cards himself. There are known to be more than 50 other organizations similar in size and scope to Shadow Crew. Terrorists fund their activities with your stolen credit cards. A trio of terrorists charged $3.5 million on 40,000 credit cards to assist jihadists with night vision goggles, GPS devices, airfare, and burner phones. Security badges to get into government buildings, airports, your company, etc. Those can all be cloned with a device that criminals can get for $400. So tell me why I have to take off my shoes and throw out my bottle of water before passing through security at the airport? $11 billion are stolen annually, and 47% of the people who are victims are Americans. I love this one. As a young child, my mother told me I could be anyone I wanted to be. Well, it turns out the police call this identity theft. Criminals steal your identity to file IRS refund claims, which will result in $21 billion in losses over the next 5 years. Not to mention the headaches it's going to cost you when you get audited. Identity theft is on the rise, so here's what you need to know. Bank robberies started with one person holding up one bank. They progressed to people holding up a train or an armored car carrying funds from multiple banks. Now criminals choose to steal tiny amounts from millions of accounts. They are small transactions that most people don't notice, but they add up. Spy Eye is used by thieves to hide the missing money. Internet thieves have even developed and used software that is used to fake what you see in your online bank account. It shows the money you think you have while they are draining your account. Even low-tech thieves have figured out the internet. A low-tech thug, dressed as a construction worker, sprayed pepper spray in the face of an armored car driver and made off with a large sum of cash. When police arrived on the scene, they found scores of people dressed as construction workers. They had answered a Craigslist posting for a job that was going to pay $30 an hour at the corner where the bank was located. In the criminal bank robbery style of a flash mob, hackers carried out 36,000 ATM transactions in 27 countries in a 10-hour span, resulting in the theft of $45 million. Stock investors lost $110 million when a kid at a community college sent out a faked press release that claimed a good stock was failing. When legitimate news sources began quoting the faked release, the market went into free fall. How many times have you seen inexplicable changes in the market? Maybe you've even lost money in the stock market due to such activities. How do criminals get your info? While sometimes it may be the People's Liberation Army, where thousands of employees operate openly from a 12-story building in Shanghai, who are all there to steal your identity and your money, or any other country who hates Americans, or some bored hacker in his mother's basement, but usually it's you. In most cases, you are your own worst enemy. Free services like dictionary.com aren't really free. Anytime you get something for free, trust me, you are paying for it. One visit to dictionary.com will leave 234 tracking cookies on your computer. This is so that retailers can see what you're interested in and market that to you. Google gives you free search, email, and document creation and storage, but in the fine print of the terms of service, you will see that Google asserts that no person should have any expectation of privacy in any information shared with third parties. Google even goes further to say that if you don't have a Google account, but someone emails you from theirs, then all of your shared documents and conversations belong to Google too. Google is valued at $59 billion because you get free search and Gmail that can be sold to advertisers. The biggest lie in the world is that you actually read the terms of service. Maybe you have fallen prey for a phishing scheme. Bad guys will use your social connections to trick you into clicking on a link. It could be in the form of a Facebook message that appears to be from a friend, or an email or an e-card that looks like it's coming from a friend's email or from your bank's email address. Sometimes it is a web page using a commonly misspelled version of a popular site where you log in only to have that login info stolen for their use on the real site. Believe it or not, there are phishing kits available online for $65 that deliver 500,000 email accounts. More than 100 million phishing emails are circulated daily, costing the average victim more than $2,000 each. Juice jacking. You know those cheap versions of Apple products that you can buy online? Some are designed to hijack your phone as soon as you plug it in. Often there will be charging stations in airports and coffee shops that have been hacked. You may not see anything happening, but as soon as you plug in, criminals are scanning your device and anything you connect it to for passwords, credit card info, and even accessing your camera and mic so they can be filming you or listening in on everything you say without triggering any indicators that would let you know. Freaked out yet? No? Let me tell you a little bit more about the way you are leaking information that could come back to bite you. Drive around town, walk into any building, and take note of the security cameras. Facial recognition software allows law enforcement to track the bad guys, but the bad guys are way ahead of the curve and can hack into these same feeds. They can watch you as you type in your ATM code. They know when you're not home. They know where your kids are and when they are alone. Criminals are the ones leading the technology for accessing online information storage. As you walk through Nordstrom's or Home Depot, your Wi-Fi signal is being tracked by their system. More than 50 million mobile devices have been monitored without your permission. They do this to figure out what you are looking at so they know what to market to you later. Home Depot, you may remember, lost 56 million credit cards to criminals in a 2014 breach of their database. Keep in mind that the 70-page, 4-point font terms of service that you agreed to by scrolling to the end and checking that little box means that companies who lose your data to criminals are not liable to you for it. Sometimes such irresponsibility costs lives. The top secret plans for the most technologically advanced U.S. military helicopters ended up in the hands of the Iranians because one of the contractors wanted free music. Peer-to-peer sharing shares more than you think. Any product you use or document you keep that is hosted in the cloud is there for the taking. The contractor used peer-to-peer networking that allows people to share copyright-protected music and videos. Hackers had an open door to see and take everything he was working on, including the classified military documents. Using a tool called Cloud Cracker, hackers can try 300 million variations on your password in 20 minutes. The tool costs them $17. Using similar tools, hackers crack the Sony PlayStation network, giving themselves access to hundreds of thousands of user accounts, complete with credit card info. You may think that each online site you visit is separate, and thus information shared on one is not accessible to the others. That may be true to the service providers, but it's not true for those who have figured out that by compiling all of your info into one saleable packet is a lucrative business. You make it ridiculously easy by using the same usernames and passwords, or very similar ones, across a plethora of sites. Those pesky terms of service that you agree to on each site also ensure that you, and you alone, will bear the burden if the info ends up in the wrong hands. Even LinkedIn, which is considered a social site for grown-ups, says that in their terms of service that you are granting them irrevocable and perpetual access to any information you have ever listed on the site. Facebook paid $1 billion for Instagram after paying $16 billion for WhatsApp in order to own your info. 3 months after Instagram was purchased by Facebook, they outraged users by stating that all of your info and all of your photos, including photos of your minor children, had been sold and could be used in advertising without your consent. They told you that in the updated terms of service that you probably didn't read. Facebook's own security department says that over 600,000 accounts are compromised every day. Think about what you've posted there. Name, address, phone, email, date of birth, place of birth, mother's name. Everywhere you have checked in, photos of you, your kids, your family. Just one compromised account can lead to all of your online accounts being breached, including your email, calendar, banking, stock accounts, purchase histories, Dropbox, and Google Drive. All of these points of data establish your identity, and they are free for the taking. Have you ever posted on Facebook about an upcoming trip? It's done so frequently that there is actually a site called pleaserobme.com. Photos that you post have embedded data that shows when and where the photos were taken. A post you may have made to sell a diamond on Craigslist can tell burglars exactly what you have of value to save them time while robbing your empty home. Sometimes your loved ones become the victims. Can they fool your grandma? Here's how that call goes. Your granddaughter, who's vacationing in South Africa, just got mauled by a rogue cheetah. She's in the hospital and needs surgery to save her life, but lost her wallet to the cat. We need your credit card number so the doctors can operate to save her life. Your granny knows you're in South Africa and she suspects you might try to pet a cheetah, so it sounds legit to her. Facebook's annual report stated that more than 11% of the accounts are faked. That means 140 million Facebook accounts are out there pretending to be someone they're not. Cybercrime accounts for more than $400 billion a year, so pretending to be your friend can have its benefits. Your phone has more computing power than all of what was available for the Apollo 11 moon landing, but it's a snitch in your pocket. Data brokers and spies are going after phones with a vengeance because everything about you is in one easy-to-target location. Google and Facebook both have ambient sound technology that allow them, and anyone who hacks them, to listen in. Even your phone's camera can be turned on to record everything you say and do with no blinking light to alert you. Criminals don't provide warning signals. In addition to using your phone to spy on you, they can spoof your bank, your credit card company, or any other number. On your screen, it will look like the call is a legitimate call from your bank or credit card company, and the person on the phone will be an expert con artist who will walk you through the emergency while collecting every bit of info you willingly hand over. 99% of all mobile malware is targeted at Android. The phone isn't really cheaper if it costs you more in data leakage. Your phone can be enlisted to send fake SMS messages at a cost of $7.50 per message. In just a few hours, thieves can rack up thousands of dollars in debt for you. The way they do that is to post a free app like a knockoff version of Angry Birds. When you download it to your phone is infected and becomes a zombie to be controlled by the villains. In addition to racking up bills for you to pay, your phone can be networked to provide denial-of-service attacks. As for the real Angry Birds app, the NSA decided to use the game's intelligence gathering capabilities rather than to try to create their own system. They are NSA, so of course they can access the phone in your pocket without a warrant. Speaking of games, kids are at most risk online, and they put you at most risk too, because they can't tell when they're talking to an adult 80% of the time. All they care about is getting access to that next level of play, and they will download anything to do it. The Internet of Things. The FBI has been listening in on mobsters in their cars using OnStar since 2003. Criminals have proven to be more tech-savvy than law enforcement, so it's not a stretch to believe that they are listening in as well. Your car is just one device in the Internet of Things that can be hacked. Toyota agreed to a $1.2 billion fine for covering up defects in computerized components that resulted in the deaths of 27 people. If it's part of a network system, it can be hacked. Murders will be committed remotely, not by targeting one person, but targeting everyone driving a certain make and model at any given time. You know you've done it. When everything from light bulbs to irons to sprinkler systems to cars are part of the Internet of Things, the criminal element only needs to hack the weakest link. In most cases, you are the weakest link, but when everything in your life becomes more connected, it means you are at the mercy of the weakest product. It isn't just a bunch of kids you have to worry about. It's organized crime and really, really smart, albeit socially challenged kids who see you as a free ride. On the Silk Road, your life is traded openly, and it's not just your money that has value. Girlsaround.me is an app that accesses your social posts to let stalkers know when there are young, vulnerable girls in their vicinity. Anything with a camera can be watching you. You and your children can be the victims of predators who access webcams, phone and tablet cameras, drop cams, and nanny cams. Wanted dead or alive? It turns out there is an underworld market for your organs that make you valuable dead or alive. When a kidney is worth $200,000 and livers are worth $150,000 and a pair of eyeballs sell for $1,500, it makes you think twice when some stranger says, "You have such pretty eyes." If you use an online medical forum, you may have given your blood type and other DNA markers to those who need a perfect match. 200,000 users signed the terms of service that said patientslikeme.com could sell their info to third parties. It just turns out that some of those third parties may be organ brokers. This was the most shocking revelation to me. Your DNA can now be printed and placed anywhere. Like at the scene of a crime. DNA evidence, our gold standard in convicting felons, is now rendered useless as a tool against crime because anyone's DNA can be replicated in a fairly inexpensive machine the size of a toaster oven and be placed at any crime scene. What can you do to protect yourself? Changing our habits is hard, but I hope the last half hour has made it clear that we have to change the way we interact with the world. Progress is going to move forward, so you can't just abandon everything that is networked. The best thing you can do is to learn about the dangers around you and make it your habit to be aware and prepared. If you do the following, you can eliminate 85% of the threats. Update frequently. If it has an operating system, make sure you are always using the recent updates. Don't just keep clicking that box to make it go away. Never use the same password for more than one site. Think 20 digits or more of numbers and letters. Use a service like LastPass or OnePass so you only have to remember one very hard password and then change passwords regularly. Only download software from trusted sources, such as the Apple Store, or directly from companies that you know and trust. Never fall for the temptation of cheaper versions of software via pirated sites. They're pirates, for goodness sake. Why do you think they're doing you a favor? Your computers and tablets should have two accounts. One that you create as the administrator, and then one that you create as you. The administrator account should only be opened for updating or downloading trusted software. The rest of the time, you should be logged in as the secondary user who does not have admin privileges. This keeps viruses from being able to install themselves secretly. Turn off your network devices when you aren't using them. Turn off your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth when they aren't in use, as they are like leaving a door open to every scary person on the planet. Encrypt it. When I told you all the ways that Google can share your info, I failed to mention that Gmail is one of the most secure forms of email service, if you take the added precaution of encrypting your transmissions. Both Windows and Mac have free programs to encrypt your hard drive. It's called BitLocker for the PC and FileVault for the Mac. Don't click links in email. Don't use USB drives if you don't know where they came from. Back up your data and store one copy off-site. Cover up the camera on your devices when you aren't using them. Never access your bank or other sensitive sites from a device other than your own. And use your system's built-in firewalls. Think before you share. Let no one be discouraged by the belief there is nothing one person can do against the enormous array of the world's ills, misery, ignorance, and violence. Few will have the greatness to bend history, but each of us can work to change a small portion of events. And in the total of all those acts will be written the history of a generation. John F. Kennedy. If you'd like to learn more, the future is coming, so be prepared, not scared, and be sure to pick up this excellent book called Future Crimes at futurecrimes.com.